Okay, and with that, we are going to get started. I'm going to go through this little intro slide just to sort of explain what we're going to be doing today, because perhaps some people are not super aware, and it also gives any stragglers a few minutes to join us. So we are going to be looking at some Spark PRs today. We are focused on the PySpark with Kubernetes support PR, which I'm super excited about. And this is something that we've looked at a few times before. And I think it's important to realize that this is an iterative process, right? It takes many tries to find all of the things that are going to come up in the code review. And we can see when we go and look at this code review that it's actually a very collaborative process. There's many other people involved as well. And we actually had a pair programming session on it sort of last week, and if you want, you can watch the recording of that on YouTube. And if you want to follow along, feel free to go ahead and open up the GitHub pull request as well. And if at the end of this you're inspired to go and do some of your own reviews inside of Spark, I think that's amazing. Sparkprs.appspot.com is where I normally go in the morning when I'm looking for PRs which I might be interested in reviewing. But today we're focusing on the one that we've been working with the person for a while. If you don't know me yet, I am Holden. My preferred pronouns are she or her, and I'm a developer advocate at Google. I'm on the Spark PMC, which is like a committer but slightly different. And I also contribute to Beam and a lot of other projects. And the code review live streams, which you're watching one of now, you can either follow along on Twitch, which is super cool, or on YouTube, which is also super cool. I also have a bunch of recorded videos that you can check out as well. Okay, cool. In addition to who I am professionally, I'm trans, queer, Canadian, on a work visa in America. I'm part of the leather community. And this is not really related to code reviews, but I think it's important to me that I'm explicit about sort of who I am, because I remember what it was like the first time I met someone like myself in the industry. And so, also, I mean, a reminder that we all come from different places and we should be nice to each other, and it's good. My co-reviewer today is Boo. She also uses she, her pronouns. This is her. Bark, 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 bark. She comes with me whenever I travel. And today we're hanging out at Pycon US in Cleveland, Ohio. We're going to be giving a talk at 3:15 p.m. today. If anyone's interested in joining us, it's debugging PySpark or trying to make sense of a JVM stack trace when you are minding your own bus. This was supposed to say business, but I figured I'd just roll with it and add some bus pictures. So we're good. And I think there's one more. Yeah, so once again, the TLDR is I open up PRs, go through them. If you have questions, please ask them in the chat. I'll be watching the chat windows for both YouTube and Twitch in case anyone has questions. Today we're just doing code reviews. Probably I might look at one of my own PRs super briefly. Normally I try and do code reviews on Friday and live coding on Monday, but with my travel schedule it can be a little bit hard. And questions are super, super encouraged. So with that, let's go ahead. I'm going to go back to this intro slide where I had the link to the pull request we were going to review, and we're going to go ahead and open that up and take a look. Oh wow, that's kind of slow. Okay, yeah, so this is the initial Python bindings for PySpark on K8s. We can see there's a lot of reviewers, and one of them actually has requested changes explicitly. So they say, please don't merge this until these things are addressed. So that's an important thing to note. When you see the little X, that normally means that we should go through and check and make sure that those requests are reasonable and also are going to be addressed. And if they're not, how we can help the author address those changes. And so this is a thing that we've had is right now the Kubernetes integration tests aren't integrated. It's a little sad. Right now the integration tests are failing, which is not great. I think I remember from talking with the PR author, though, that the integration tests are essentially failing because they're running against master, and so we're not seeing that work. Okay, this is interesting. One of the things that we've had conversations about, and we'll look at it in the PR. Actually, I'm going to go ahead and increase my font size a little bit because I know this could be a little annoying to read. So this integration test is probably a little too basic. It's a great start. I'm super excited for it, but I really want to make sure that we have tests beyond what this is doing. So this is just testing that the PySpark on Kubernetes can run, but it's not testing some very important functionality, and that is the PySpark files functionality. And that's for when our Python program requires more than just one Py file, right, which is pretty often. And so I'd really like to see that in the integration tests. And so this is actually a thing we've talked about before, so I'm just going to go ahead and leave a comment. Hey, I'm going to mention the PR author, just more likely that he will notice. Really like this start of an integration test. Would love to see something using --py files. As well, in the integration side, given how difficult it was for us to get even the basics of that working together. And so this is essentially just like, yeah, I mean, this is great. When we did our pair programming the other day, getting Py files to work was really annoying. And so I want to make sure that we have good tests around that, because if it breaks, I don't want to have to try and fix it again. So I want us to catch that sooner rather than later. So let's keep going. Yeah. This is the concerns about the integration test being in a separate repo, which I mentioned before. This is a future concern. We don't have to handle it now. There's a lot of things which have been addressed, and that's really solid. I'm gonna scroll down here. Yeah, so this is a thing where we have this logic repeated in a lot of places, and it's not great logic. It doesn't support any escape characters for specifying Py files, and I doubt people would have a lot of commas in the names, but it does feel like we should support escape characters. So I just created a JIRA issue, and I gave it a really low priority because I don't think we need to do it right away, but I think it's a thing that we should definitely have in the back of our minds, and definitely if someone wanted to work on this, they'd have to know Scala and a little bit of Python, so the intersection of those people aren't the biggest group in the world, but if someone really wanted to get started here, this could be not bad. Actually, this reminds me of a Twitter conversation I was having, so I'm actually going to go ahead and jump into Twitter and send this to someone really quickly as a possible thing that they might want to look at. So let's go ahead and scroll down. Another unrelated, another perhaps less related to interchange, but Scala Python interaction shouldn't take much time. Yes, dude. And so this is just, we've been talking about things to maybe work on, and this just reminded me that this is a thing that this person could work on, so I figured I'd just send it to them. And maybe someone else will solve my problems for me. that seems reasonable. Totally reasonable question. Maybe worth a comment then. Especially since our support isn't integrated right now, it's perhaps not super clear to folks why this is being done. And this is just, we should do something there. Yeah. Oh, interesting. Would love recommendations on dependency managements in regard to pip, as it's tricky to allow both pip installs for pip and pip3 unless I have two separate virtual lines for dependency management. Yeah, we can definitely take a look at that. So that's a thing that we'll come back to. Okay. So right now, this branch has conflicts that have to be resolved. And that's not great. That being said, it will probably be fixed relatively soon. So the main thing is, like, even if we finished our review today and it was perfect, we couldn't merge it today. We'd like the author to update it first. So I'm going to go up and jump into Files Changed, and we will go through some of this review. The Dockerfile itself has been pretty solid. There haven't been a lot of questions around that, so we're going to sort of skip over that. And this is the part where I thought there was some duplicated logic, but there maybe isn't. These configurations look reasonable. PyFiles, optional. Main app resource, optional. AppArgs, optional. This is nice. I like this. We've had a lot of problems in Yarn with similar issues. So these are all mostly things that we've sort of looked at before. And I'm just scrolling through to essentially look at other comments in context. Yeah, and so that's... Oh, wait, why didn't my comment end up in there? I thought I left a... Okay. Maybe add a comment, since R isn't... I'm like 80% sure I just added this comment, but GitHub seems to think I didn't. So that's fine. Start review. Right. And this is, we can see there's very similar logic to up here, and it also doesn't support escape characters. It's maybe not great. Resolve file URI became public. I'm actually curious, why did resolve file URI have to become public? Okay, let's go back in here. I'm going to go ahead and look inside of Kubernetes utils. Yeah, okay, so it doesn't really matter. Kubernetes utils itself is private Spark, so the fact that it's no longer private, that's fine. The main thing that I'd be worried about is if we started exposing this to sort of end application developers, because we might change something in here. This logic has, what's changed? Math.max, conf.getMemory, overhead fraction. Oh, get or else 0, 1. Yeah. Provided that that's the only place where it's used, I think that's okay. If we see this logic come up again, though, we should move it into a function. But if this is the only place where we compute this logic, that's fine. And the reason why we switched to get our else 0.1 here is right now we no longer create with optional. No longer create with the default value. We create an optional version of this, and we allow essentially when we're in Python and the option is not set, we set it to 0.4. Okay, that's cool. Okay, no. This logic happens twice. This logic happens twice, and I'd rather see it in a utils class where in a utils or config class where if we update it in one place, it will take effect everywhere. And this is just, I know that future Holden is lazy, and if someone just changed this, I have to go through and look to make sure they got all of them. Whereas if we put it in the utils function, I can just be happy. Okay, this is the Java driver feature step. It shows as new code, but I think it's actually just a move. Although maybe it is new code, okay. Python driver, yeah. If it's new code, let's go ahead and review it. Properties, file, class. Yeah. That. Okay. That looks fine, I guess. Let's go down here. Oh, yeah. Let's see if we do this mk string with, we only do it once. Maybe add a comment on why we need to switch from commas to colons. And the reason that we have to is that we're setting this Python path environment variable, and Python path takes colons, and so that's why we have to do the switch over. So go ahead and add the review comment right there. It's looking pretty solid. Yeah. So this mostly looks fine. This is, normally I'd spend a lot more time reading this. You'll note I'm scrolling pretty quickly. And that's because we've been over this PR a few times. And there's several other people involved as well. And it's also not at the state where we can merge today, so we don't have to catch everything. We'll come back to it definitely again. I'm excited to see these unit tests. I do want to go and dive into the part where the PR author essentially asks for advice. So let's go ahead and find that part. And so, okay, so you can run both pip and pip3 with the same packages, and they'll get installed in different directories and shouldn't stomp on top of each other. That being said, long-term VMs are probably the way we want to go. But as we've discussed, those are probably non-trivial. It should go in a second PR. And so essentially, yeah, we could use VMs, but the PR author is essentially worried that if they use both pip and pip3, what I think the PR author is worried about is that if they use both pip and pip3, it will behave weirdly and like stomping each other, and that's not actually the case. That'll be fine. We can pip3 install setup tools as well, and that'll just be fine. So that's cool. We'll add a review comment there. Entry point, Python version. And so here we check to see what Python version it is. If it's 2, we use Python 2. Okay, and if it's 3, use Python 3. That's not exactly mind-blowing. That's what we would expect. And that actually looks pretty solid. Let's go back up and go through and see if there are any other things that look. We've gone through the test before, so I'm not going to go through them again today. Just because I know it's maybe not the most exciting code for a lot of people. Driver service features type suite. These are still the tests. Still the tests. Oh god, there's a lot of tests. That's really good. That actually makes me much less nervous. The state of the integration tests still make me a little bit nervous, but that's okay. Okay, so that's interesting. One of the things which I'm a little curious about, and I'm going to go try and find, is one user essentially requested changes, and I want to check and see what changes they requested. Because normally we just comment unless there's a thing that we like really think strongly about, and it looks like there's only one comment here. So it's possible that they just follow a different convention, and they say request changes when they have questions. So that's totally fine. And it looks like we don't have anything to worry about or help with there. So that's looking, I mean, it's not finished. It's getting a lot closer, and with that integration test, we could really make that rock and roll. I think there's no particular questions coming up on the live stream, so we're just going to go ahead and hit review and say thanks for sticking with this. I know it's been a long process. Really appreciate your work. Left a comment over in the integration test PR as well, but it looks like it's getting a lot closer. Please ping me when the PR is up to date with the master branch. And so that's cool. We hit submit review. GitHub takes a while, which is a great excuse for me to drink some coffee. Okay, cool. I'm gonna quickly take a look at my own pull requests. I've had some like really relatively small ones hanging out for a while. I have the PMML one. Interesting. Yeah, this is a work in progress PR. We can see that it fails the PySpark unit tests, so that's not good. So let's go ahead and hope that there's still console output. Go ahead and update what we're working on super quickly. Okay, cool. There we go. That is more or less what we would expect. And it looks like I don't know why I assumed there would be excess element in there, but it's solid. We're just going to go ahead. I've got that PR checked out right now, so I'm going to go ahead and find the test.py file. That's weird. Normally, oh, I said test.py rather than test.py. There we go. And then it's in the ML directory. And we can see here it says line 1373, which is kind of long. And we're just going to insert pmml. And so that's good. And essentially, this pmml test here that I'm doing is very simple because there are more tests in the Scala side. Oh, yay! Hi, friend, and thanks for popping in. But yeah, so we can see here that essentially this test is really just checking to make sure that we wrote it to a pmml file, not something else, because the rest of the tests live in the Scala world. So we're going to go ahead and go into repos, Spark. Yep, get commit-am. I don't know why I was checking for excess element. We really should have checking for pmml string. And that's great. I'm going to do a git push, and hopefully it'll pass the test this time. That'll be great. Normally I run my tests locally, but since I'm traveling and I'm on my laptop, when I run my tests, my live stream breaks. So that's the thing that I need to work on. I do run the compiler at niceness level 19, and probably I could just reduce the parallelism option. Actually, I'll try that. I'll test that out another time. And so with that, it's 11:30 local time. It's 8:30 in Pacific. I'm really excited to go back to Pycon. So since it doesn't seem like there's a lot of questions today, I'm just going to wrap up early because we've reviewed the PySpark Kubernetes support PR. We can see it's coming along really well. And I fixed one of the bugs, hopefully, in my own PRs. And hopefully I can maybe merge that with y'all on Monday. Or Tuesday, actually, because I'm flying on Monday. So thanks, everyone, for tuning in. Have a wonderful weekend. And if you happen to be at Pycon, please come say hi to myself and Boo. We would both love to say hi. Or if you're at Scala Days next week, also stop in and say hi. So have a wonderful weekend. Thanks, everyone.